This is a bottle of bottled water. It is 9 ounces of liquid water in a clear plastic container. Something this innocent seeming is something that you wouldn't think would harm the environment, and yet it leaves a huge environmental footprint upon our world. I have to admit, I was a skeptic when I first started learning about the fact that people thought bottled water was bad for the environment. When I learned several campuses across the United States, high school and college, were stopping their sales of bottled water, I thought that they were a little bit crazy. However, as I've researched bottled water online, and I've looked at studies, both biased and unbiased, I have come to find that yes, bottled water is bad for the environment. First, let me tell you why people buy bottled water. First of all, it tastes good. I myself prefer the taste of bottled water to tap water. Also, it's convenient. If I'm at a store, I'm going to pick up a bottled water over a can of soda or a bottle of juice. Because one, I like to be healthy, and two, it's easy to drink bottled water out of a bottle. And sometimes I'm too lazy to fill up a bottle of water at home and take it somewhere with me. Also, people think it's more pure. This is because the media and the marketers have told us that it's pure natural spring water, and they use things like the slogan "Pure Life," and that it's something natural and it comes from nature, and this is why it's more pure. Now I'm going to tell you why environmentalists think bottled water is such a big deal. Bottled water is bad for the environment. It contributes to global warming. Making the plastic itself contributes to global warming, as does the fact that when you transport it somewhere, you're using up gasoline and by using cars and trucks and planes and boats just to get it to where the customers are. Now, when you make the plastic, it also uses oil. In fact, it uses 1.5 million barrels of oil a year. This is a lot of oil. That much oil powers 100,000 cars a year. And considering the gasoline crisis we're in, it seems like a very big deal. Now, toxins like nickel and ethylbenzene and benzene are released into the air when the plastic is made. Also, when the plastic is made, twice as much water as is in the bottle is used to make the bottle. 2 of these bottles of water, this much water, will go into making 1 of these bottles. And water is a precious commodity. Our water resources are dwindling, the ice caps are melting into the sea, and fresh water is hard to come by. Now, they tell you to reduce, reuse, and recycle. Those are great ideas. But recycling is not enough sometimes, and in fact, it contributes to global warming to a certain extent. Because when you recycle something, you take this plastic, you crush it down, and then you have to reform it into another bottle or something else. This is also using oil and releasing toxins into the air. Also, not everyone recycles. I myself go out of my way to find a recycling bin or stick it somewhere where I know I can recycle it later, but that's a lot of time and effort for most people, and so about 15 to 20% of people recycle the bottles of water and the rest don't. That's a lot of bottles of water bottled water that's not being recycled, and it's a significant amount, which means that even the people that do recycle aren't making as much of a difference as maybe we'd like. Now, here are ways to maybe reduce the amount of bottled water that you're buying or using. You could stop buying it in the first place, which is a little bit harsh and extreme, but if you do, that's good for you. Or you could be like me and find ways to maybe reduce the impact it's having on the environment. For the taste, if you don't like your tap water, get a filter. Some of them are cheap and some of them are expensive, but in the long run, you'll actually save more money buying a filter than you will to keep buying bottled water. Bottled water is about $1.27 per gallon, whereas tap water is 15 cents per gallon. If you buy a decent $25 filter for your tap, you're definitely going to be saving money. Now, also for taste, Ithaca College did a blind taste test over the past couple years, and 4 out of those 5 tests led to the conclusion that most people preferred tap water to bottled water. Also, as for purity, bottled water may not be as pure as we think. Some bottled water is as pure or less pure than the tap water we have. Now, to be fair, there are some places in the United States, and definitely in the world, where bottled water by far outstrips the purity of the tap water. But in the United States, those places are rare and far between. So unless you're in Mexico City, you really don't need to go out and buy a bunch of bottled water for the purity. The Natural Resources Defense Council has found traces of bacteria, disinfection byproducts, and arsenic in the bottled water that they've tested. And according to Gina Solomon, one of their senior scientists, bottled water is less regulated than tap water. The FDA has said that bottled water plants have a lower priority than tap water plants. This means that they get inspected less often, and then they have less manpower to do the inspection. In 2007, Germonk, which is a company that distributes bottled water all over California, had to be recalled because there was arsenic in the water. Also, for convenience, yes, it's really easy to grab one of these off the shelf and buy it. However, it's also easy to go out and buy a bottle and then fill it up in the morning before you go somewhere and just take it with you. This will also save money, for one. And if you find that you really are having a hard time remembering, just keep trying and make it a habit. Stick it under a tap, turn the water on, go make your coffee or eat some breakfast, turn the water off, screw it on, and take it with you. Now, I don't expect that people will stop buying bottled water right away, or even at all, or that, the government will decide to ban bottled water. However, all you have to do is stop buying bottled water a little bit. You can reduce the impact it has. Buy your filter. Buy a bottle to put the water in, something that's reusable. Because reduce and reuse are the 2 most important parts of the reduce, reuse, and recycle that, well, so many people have heard all their lives in grade school. I myself, I still buy a bottle of water. It's easy, it's healthy. I like to be hydrated when I exercise, and sometimes I don't like to drink other things like soda or Gatorade or juice. However, I have stopped buying as much bottled water, and maybe one day I'll stop buying it altogether. So hopefully in the future,